Mental health and well-being is a really important issue nationally, and obviously it's a really important issue in Knowsley too. We know that 1 in 4 people are affected by mental health conditions, and in terms of young people, that translates to around 7 young people in every single school class. They're really high numbers, and the impact of that stuff is really important. This means we're impacting on the ability of our young people to go on and achieve fantastic things in the future, their ability to get good education, good jobs, good housing, good lives, and obviously anything we can do to allow them to maximise their potential is a good thing, and that's why addressing emotional well-being issues is so important. Phase 1 of the programme involved getting all the key stakeholders together in a room, talking about what the issues were around mental health and well-being, and thinking about all the best ways we could test to see whether they would actually work. In Phase 2, we adopted a test and learn approach. We tried a number of different projects in different areas around mindfulness, emotional well-being, physical activity, in order to see what the impact was. And the fantastic thing is, although not every element in Phase 2 is being taken through to the big part of the programme, all of those things will have made a positive impact on our young people.
When HeadStart first started in Knowsley, and they were looking at programmes to support children and young people with mental health, to support their positive mental health, Ken from HeadStart came to Knowsley Central and asked if we would like to trial a programme to do with mindfulness. And I think at that time people weren't really aware what mindfulness was, whereas now it seems to be a lot more out in the media. So we identified several different groups who we could work with within Knowsley Central for the Stop Gap Go programme, and Caroline Gorman's class was identified as one of those classes, and she worked through the programme with her young people.
Basically the first few sessions were about them being aware of their own senses and how to focus their attention on each sense individually and then collectively, and being able to work on each one at any one time to help them to calm down and relax and actually experience those senses rather than just overlook them. They all got activity packs which explained what they'd done during each session and gave them practices to do that they could do at home, either with themselves or with their parents. So the parents were privy to all that information and have actually spoken about it when the children have had a review or they've had a meeting with staff. They have explained that the children were really excited about it and that they really wanted to talk about it when they came home.
On the whole, the outcomes have been really positive, especially where it's been triangulated between parents and teachers and the children. And they have the same approach at home as they do at school, and everybody knows what those approaches are.
What I've learned off this course is it's not even about the child as well, it's about the person looking after the child, because if I'm not in good health to look after Connor and Alex, then I shouldn't be looking after them, because I've got to look after myself too. And with the children as well, they were coming home and saying, we done this today, we done that. It was so exciting because it was all, you know, visual for them. It was like a little comedy thing as well. So they could, you know, they could see all that and they could understand, because children like mine can't just understand something. It has to be laid out in simple layman terms. It's about bonding as well. And I've found that since we've been doing this, that, you know, something we do together as a family. And I think it's about realising that what we've got is special, and there's no point in getting upset about what the life we've got yet. I just think it's brilliant. I just think that this Stop Gap Go should be pushed all the way, because it's going to help a lot of sectors.
Cognitive behavioural coaching, or CBC, is a process that's based in cognitive behavioural therapy. So what we've done is we've developed the similar processes into a coaching intervention, and what it is, it's giving children the skills and techniques they need to help them make the right decisions that lead to their increase in mental toughness and resilience. The introduction to the course is a process whereby we undertake an MTQ48 assessment. The advantage of using that for us, it gives us an idea of how we filter the children into group or one-to-one, because we get a measure of their mental toughness. So we would get a score from 1 to 10 of their mental toughness. If we carry out that same assessment at the end, we get a secondary score. You take one from the other and you get the distance travelled. So we'll know for each child what areas of focus we need to look at. And that coaching guide is then given to the coaches so they know what they need to do on a one-to-one basis with the children in a group setting. The HeadStart programme originally is aimed at working directly one-to-one with children or children in a group setting to improve confidence, self-esteem and mental toughness. What we realised was that's a great process, but if we want to work with more children, we need a method of being able to interact with them. So we've already had a mental health app that we developed, and what we can do now with the mental health app is adapt it into a phase 2 process whereby we can have mental toughness and resilience embedded in the app, and then we can encourage children to use that app independently from the work that we do with them.
The idea of the emotional first aid, it's about helping people to spot the early signs of their own personal stress and anxiety. People now who were on the first course, and I'm going back nearly a year ago, and they still, now when I see them at other training events, come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I am still using the techniques that we've talked about. And we talk about the comfort and the stretch and the panic zone, and you know, they say to me, I'm still like thinking about I'm in my stretch zone, I'm in my panic zone, and so even now, like nearly a year on, people are still saying that it's impacting on them and it's impacting on their family.
When we first started out on this project, the understanding was about young people becoming more resilient to adverse situations, and some of them adverse situations might be death, bullying. But what I discovered on this project is that actually the young people were really resilient to gun crime, knife crime, poverty and deprivation. It was part of their life. They didn't really see that as hardship. What their real resilience factors were was self-esteem and confidence. If someone gave them a compliment and said they were good at something, they couldn't accept that. The young people really shaped how it went. And then in terms of the film, they wrote it themselves. The story was actually based on one of the young people that we were working with. And they were all involved from being behind the camera, ideas behind the magazine cover, and the name of the project, #Happy, really tapped into this social media culture that they're all involved in. I suppose the helps and hindrances that social media has on young people and their mental health.
Because it helps me talk more about my feelings.
I think that I know how to contribute my ideas more with people. I know how to talk more about myself and talk about feelings and that.
They're feeling the value, they're seeing the value, and so are the families, and that's what's been really lovely about this project. It's not standalone where we engage with young people for a couple of hours a week. We're engaging with the families, we're sharing stuff with them. They're sharing stuff with us, and that's really good, isn't it? It's really empowering. It shows how involved they've been in all of this process and how much they've led.
People say to me, how are you? And I say, I am okay. Well, okay isn't a feeling. So how do you recognise what it is that you're feeling? How do you recognise whether you're happy or sad? It's about knowing yourself. And so our work as youth workers has always been about personal development, and so that's what we're trying to build into our Head Start work, a very basic starting point where young people can start acknowledging how they feel and sharing how they feel.
One of the biggest things we wanted to do with Head Start and with the Head Starters is real champion and advocate, positive emotional well-being and resilience kinds of tools. They commissioned 3 activities, so they come up with the specification, kind of like a tender, and then they evaluated all the tenders that came in and decided on which activities they then wanted to commission, which I think is fantastic for young people being involved right at the beginning of that kind of commissioning process. All this commitment has been able to give them the opportunity to actually take that into their own lives and their own kinds of learning. So yeah, it's been really positive for that, and obviously some of the soft skills, the teamwork, the confidence, the communication, all those things which we've been able to build up with those young people that then they can hopefully go out and do with other young people.
With Head Starters, I've experienced and learned what mental well-being is, and that I've I can have decisions and what projects have been run and being helping like to deliver the projects. I want to continue coming because I want to help other people's mental well-being and make sure that they understand and that there is help out there.
It is incredibly important that this programme is designed right to meet the needs of young people, and that's where young people come into it, and that's why we do all the work so closely with our young people and with our community groups. But we also need to make sure the programme delivers on its aims, and that's why we have a really strong governance structure around it. So we have a HeadStart Knowsley board that meets every month to talk about all the issues, talk about the design of the programme, and make sure the governance and the accountability for the programme is set out right. Phase 3 bit then involves bringing together all the best practice from Phase 2, looking at all the programmes and the evaluation of those different elements and seeing which ones have made the biggest impact on young people. And then we can pull all of those together into a fantastic overarching programme that we submit to the Big Lottery.